Is the stock market really a scam? Are we doing this whole thing for nothing? And is it just built for people who already have money and can sustain when the stock market drops? And are we just doing this whole thing for nothing? Let's go ahead and break it down. Boy, oh boy, somebody left a crazy comment, and apparently went back and deleted it, because I scrolled back about a month and a half to go back and find this comment. Unfortunately, I did not screenshot it. I wish I would have, because I definitely would have put it back on the screen right now. But I did respond because I saw it, it raised an eyebrow, and I may or may not have unleashed on this particular person, and hopefully one of y'all saw it, because it did set me off. But the comment, and paraphrasing here, basically said that the stock market is a scam, and it is a scam because it's only for rich people. You have to have a lot of money, and basically it takes too long. It takes way too long for you to make money from it. So you already had to have a lot of money, and it only works because you, one, had a lot of money to begin with, and when the stock market drops, you're fine because you had money to begin with. You can survive without that money. People who don't have it, regular people, it don't work for us, right? So that is what that commenter said. Now, I responded with a paragraph and a half of why that necessarily wasn't the case, but the person did have a few good points, and we got a few stats to, perhaps shed some light on that particular topic, because it is a discussion worth having. Let's first talk about the scam piece of it. Is the stock market a scam? No, because we all get to buy into it and we all get the exact same profits. I would argue that the stock market in and of itself is one of the best, most transparent markets that we have. I have argued in my book and in other articles and podcasts and radio and TV and other places that it's probably one of the best markets out there, unlike the housing market, which we know. We know whether it was redlining, whether it was, crazy housing practices and stuff, where based on what neighborhood you're in, based on what you look like, people would give you different rates based on houses, right? And all types of weird things. Where you are, you're going to get the exact same price for a share of Apple as I would get. Doesn't matter what you look like, how much money you have, we get the exact same price every single time. The person who works at Apple, the CEO, we all have the exact same incentive to make sure that Apple's share goes up. We all want Apple to succeed, or whatever stock that we buy. We're all for it, right? Whereas in the housing market or in other markets, there are forces that would prefer that house to go vacant so they can buy up the property and push you out of that house, right? We see this all the time, and there are forces that go back and forth. That's not necessarily the case with the stock market. We pretty much all want these stocks to win because we are all invested in one way or another. Now, the stock market is not perfect. It's not perfect at all, but here are some 3 key stats that I think we should all know. The first thing is, when it comes to regular people, Fidelity puts out this study they do every single year about 401k millionaires. 401k millionaires. That in and of itself tells you that these people are relatively normal. Now, I say relatively because, millionaires aren't necessarily normal, but people who do have 401ks are quite relatable. These aren't private jet people. Okay, these are people with 9-to-5s. CEOs don't just have 401ks. Those are people getting paid well over the 401k limit. Okay, remember the 401k limit is right around $20,000 or so if you're under the age of about 50 or so. Okay, I have a 401k. All right, most of us have 401ks or something very similar. These are 9-to-5 people who go to work. These are relatively normal people who started investing usually pretty early. So Fidelity, just Fidelity, not every single 401k millionaire out there in the world or in the US, they have 485,000 401k millionaires, and that was up 43% from last year. Up 43%. That's a 43% jump in 401k millionaires. Just Fidelity in and of themselves. That's almost 500,000 millionaires just at Fidelity from 401ks. That tells you that it is something that is attainable. I didn't say easy. I didn't say overnight. Okay, them 2 words I didn't say was there. Okay, I didn't say it was easy, I didn't say it was overnight, but it is something that can be attained. How can you do this in a 401k? Well, number one, you have to be consistent. I've always said you need to be investing as early as you can if you have a 401k. It helps to have a 401k match. We have done videos on what to do if you have a 401k match, what to do if you don't have a 401k match, and what a 401k match even is. So if you want to know more about that, you want to make sure you check out these videos, okay? But also, again, 12 to 15% of your salary usually makes sense. And again, I've talked all about those 401ks, but also start as early as you can. If you feel like 15% of your salary is too much, and it can be, especially when things feel as expensive as they are, slowly work your way up, but also be consistent. So when I talk about consistency, this means that you start off at whatever percent you are. Let's say you can only afford 2, and then next year's 3, then 4, then 5, and you just continuously work your way up. What I have seen people do is they start investing, something happens like the pandemic or in 2022, or they think a recession is coming and they stop investing and they say, oh, the market is falling, or something happens and they say, oh, well, I want to pay off some credit card debt, and they stop investing, or worse, they pull out of their 401k, spend the money on something, take a penalty, and then try and start over 2 or 3 or 4 years later. You don't think about it, but that stuff really starts to hurt you. This year alone, in 2024, the market is up before today, because I don't know what the market is up today, but before today it was up 18%. So imagine you take your money out, you take a step back, and then you try to hop in, and you're already behind 18%. How much money would you need to put in just to break even? Right? That's a math problem that I would not even try to figure out. And then you're trying to make up for lost time on top of that. That's not consistency. And it is very, very difficult if you do that multiple times over multiple years. The people who took their money out in 2020 or stopped investing in 2020 because they thought they were saving themselves from something were hurt by that, because the stock market was up double digits at the end of 2020. People forget that. People absolutely forget that fact. Go back and look and see how high the market was up in 2020 during the pandemic. Yes, the stock market fell in March. Yes, it was still down in April. But look at it in December. The stock market was up, and it was up double digits. People were withdrawing and taking out their money and panicking left and right. It was only those who kept investing and kept being consistent and still putting in that 12 to 15% were the ones that are likely on this millionaire list today for Fidelity and any other companies that are compound. So that was our first stat. Now let's take a look at our next stat. Let's say that you take $1,000 and you invested 10 years ago. So starting in August, as the month that we're doing this, in August of 2014, $1,000 is a lot of money, but it's not an impossible amount. In fact, it's what, $83 a month, right, for the entire year. So August of 2014, you put down $1,000 and you are investing in the S&P 500. That is the easiest investment out there. It is the largest 500 companies in the US. All right. So you put in $1,000, and from that point forward, you are investing $200 a month. That breaks down to $50 per week. That's it. Okay. I could have done that in high school working my job at Quick Trip. Okay, that's where I used to work in high school. People at Buc-ee's right now are making that much money and more. So that is affordable, okay? $1,000 and then just $50 a week. Okay, so if you did that for 10 years from 2014 to 2024, you would have $42,000 today. To be exact, you'd have closer to $43,000. So $42,926 is what you would have today, okay? More than $40,000 is what you would have. That's nothing to sneeze at given what the average savings of Americans is today. Now, let's kick it up a bit. Let's say that you are a subscriber of this channel, which you should be. Now, I've put out several videos over the last several weeks talking about some of my favorite stocks. Let's say that you watched said video, you have subscribed to said channel, okay, and you invested in a stock that I mentioned, like Iron Mountain. IRM is a stock symbol. And let's say you did that exact same thing from 2014 to now, the exact same amount of money, $50 a week, but you started with $1,000, today you'd have $83,000. $83,000, almost double what you would have had you invested in the S&P 500. But wait, there's more. There is more. Let's say that again, you have subscribed to this very channel and you have listened to this very person talking to you right now. And you have done so because I have been telling you about another stock in another video that I've been doing. And I told you about, and y'all know, the subscribers of this channel know I've been talking about this stock for a very long time. It is Eli Lilly. Have I not? Let me know in the comments. I've been telling y'all, we've been talking about Eli Lilly for a very long time. Go back and watch them dividend stocks from earlier this year and last year and the year before that. We've been talking about Eli Lilly. If you did the exact same thing, $1,000 10 years ago, $50 a week, every single month since, you would have $157,000 today. $157,000. And all you had to do was put $1,000 in and $50 a week after that. That's it. That's it. In just 10 years. Now, there is somebody saying, well, 10 years is a really long time, and come up with all of these excuses. Here is the third and perhaps my favorite stat here. The time is going to pass anyway. The time is going to pass anyway. And I think that is the thing that I don't think enough people realize. And it's something I've been telling people since college. They don't want to wait 30 years. People who own homes, you sign up for a 30-year mortgage. You don't want to wait 30 years, but the time is going to pass anyway. Okay, I'm about to be 35 this year. When I was 15, it's not necessarily something I thought about, right? But that 20 years passed whether you want it to or not, whether you are thinking about it or not, whether you are thinking about retirement or not, whether you are saving for it or investing in it or not. That is the key. I did the math a while back, and had my parents invested in Apple, by the time I graduated, from the time I was born, I could have $400,000. They didn't do that. Now, there weren't any apps back then for them to do it, so it's not like I'm upset or anything like that, though that would have been great, right? But the key is, whether they wanted to or not, whether they thought about it or not, the time is going to pass. So you can either take advantage of it and invest whatever it is that you have, whatever it is you can afford, or you can not do that, because 10 years from now, you're going to wish you started 10 years ago. 20 years from now, you're going to wish you started 20 years ago. I would rather invest small amounts or whatever it is I can afford to start from any number that's not zero and build from that, versus starting from zero 10 years from now, because I'm not going to get that time back. Because now you're listening to me in 2024, maybe 2025 or what have you, and now you're like, I could have had 157,000. I could have had 40,000 today, but now you don't. Now, if you're starting from zero, you got to start from zero now. And you have to hope that in 2034, in 2035, and 2036, that the market does exactly what it did, and you get there, which I hope you do, which I absolutely hope that you do, right? Today, I get to say that I get to start at $200,000 or $300,000, but the only reason I do is because I started way back in 2010, right? I just started my first little $300, and I got my first real job in 2012, and started investing just $100 a month because that's all I could afford on a teacher salary. Only because I started back then. That is really the function of wealth, and the function of investing is when you got to start and how consistent you were. Those are the keys. It ain't a scam. It's really, when did you start? How long have you really been doing it? And if you go back, and again, my Cash App videos are perhaps the most popular ones, but any of the comments, people say, oh, I did this, I lost money. My first question is like, how long have you been investing? And then usually what you invested in. Because those are really the two primary factors. If you just have been investing today, don't really worry about it, right? But if you invested for 10 or 15 years and something's off, right? But how long have you been investing and what you're investing in? Those are the key factors. None of this was supposed to be overnight. And anybody who's telling you that it is, they probably scamming you. Those are the scammers, the people who are telling you that this is supposed to be some overnight magical process. It is not. Realistically, it is not, and it never really has been. Okay? You are going to age. It is going to be a long process. I guess I'm sorry that it's been there, and I guess I'm sorry somebody lied to you. I ain't lied to you on this channel. I ain't showed y'all the receipts on this channel. Y'all seen all the videos here on this here channel. I'm telling you what the process is, okay? So you can not like the process, but I'm gonna tell you 10 years from now, we still gonna be here, right? And it's gonna be an extra zero for us subscribers and the people who here. We gonna have that extra zero. You gotta decide where you wanna be, or whether or not you still wanna complain. That's up to you. We gonna be building over here, right? So if you wanna learn more about how investing actually works and whether or not you're actually being scammed by your app, these are the videos that you want to check out next.